I know so many people think that I love everything Apple does. Well, that's not true. And the article we published on Locker Gnome today pretty much proves it. Something's rotten in the state of California, and that would be Apple today. No pun intended. Matt Ryan just published his story about how PayPal and Apple's fraud policies are basically screwing him. Apple's telling him, through no fault of his own, that he's going to lose his account because of PayPal fraud. Apple is hurting Matt. Matt, you detailed this. You screenshot it. You explain the story. What's going on here?
All right, well, in November, mid-November, I was woken up. My phone was going crazy. I was getting all these emails from PayPal and from iTunes confirming that I was buying a ton of stuff on iTunes, and none of which I was doing. So the first thing I did is I called my banks. I tried to call iTunes. This is what really gets me. This first thing that beefs me is iTunes does not have phone support. You cannot call iTunes phone support. You have to file a complaint over the web, or you have to get in through one of Apple's other channels, and they'll chat with phone support. I think that's ridiculous.
Okay, so what happened? The PayPal fraud came through. I thought you got it rectified. Apple, basically cleared you of this, didn't they?
Right. 2 days after I filed my complaint with PayPal and with my bank, everything was settled. I got all my money back. Everyone said everything's fine and wonderful, and I moved on with my life. 3 months later, it's now February. This happened in November of last year. I get a whole bunch of email from PayPal again saying they're limiting my account. They're basically freezing it until I confirm various information and so on and so forth. Apple did the same thing on that same day. They disabled my account. I had to call Mac support because I own a Mac. If I didn't, I wouldn't have this channel. I had to call Mac support, and they had to chat with iTunes. This took an hour to reactivate my Apple ID, which is what I use for OS X Lion, my iPad, my iPhone, etc. PayPal, I had to wait 2 days to get my account unfrozen. And what's interesting is a week later, after I got all that settled, they did it again.
Oh, okay, so now the future of your Apple ID and everything you've purchased with that Apple ID is in question.
Exactly. What happened yesterday when I was on the phone with them, and I was on the phone, they said that iTunes support was being very pushy with the representative I was talking to. Feel bad for that representative, but that's a side issue. What they told me was, if we reactivate your account right now, you run the risk of having it deactivated again in the future, and they will never restore my Apple ID again. Which means if iTunes decides we're going to freeze this account again over the same issue I reported in November, mind you, not a new issue, that's it. No matter what, whether he's at fault or not, he can't access his Apple ID ever again. So I have to wait 90 days, which is what the prediction is right now, for the resolution to happen in order to use my Apple ID. Right now, I can't update apps on my iPhone that I've already purchased. That's ridiculous.
So Apple's screwing you.
Basically, yes. If I wanted to format and reinstall the operating system on my iMac, I couldn't right now because my Apple ID is frozen. If I had it reinitiated, I run the risk of never being able to use software I paid for again. Final Cut Pro is a $300 program, and Apple's essentially saying, I have to wait to use it, and I could lose it forever.
Because of fraud that was not your fault.
Right, because somebody hacked into my iTunes account, which from what I understand is a common occurrence, and basically took it over.
Well, you've detailed the full story on LockerGnome.com. It's already at the top of Hacker News, so you know it's going to get some attention. I'm just curious to know how many other people out there have been screwed by Apple in much the same way. It just doesn't sound right. There's something that's just missing here.
Exactly, and then the 90 days thing, that's been given by a couple of the banks that I'm working with to get this resolved, and it's a combination between PayPal's weird policies, which are understandable on the surface, but whenever you really dig down, they should know better. After I've changed my password 3 times and they've frozen my account twice, they should know better than to freeze it again. And Apple, on the other hand, they were aware of the situation from day one. It's now 4 months later, and they're still freezing my account and threatening to have it shut off permanently. I'm sorry, but if anybody else is experiencing this, please leave a comment on the article at lockergnome.com and let us know.
Matt, I'm totally with you. I would encourage everybody to take a look at Matt's story in depth. Share this video, share the article. I'm going to go ahead and +1 it just like a few other people have done so that we can make sure Apple knows exactly that exactly what's happened to you and potentially with other users as well.